So, there's this thing called Xiangyuan personality, you know? Confucius talked about it way back when. What's it all about? Well, it's like this person in a small town who's a hit with everyone in the community. He is like a social chameleon, always tuning into what others like and getting along with all sorts of folks. In Chinese, they call it being liked by everyone in the village darling. When everyone in the village loves this person, he will really make the most of his position, taking advantage and whatnot. Then Confucius said, the Xiangyuan is the thief of virtue, basically saying it messes with morality. Throughout Chinese history, how many Xiangyuan folks have embodied the Chinese culture spirit in real life? You know those people who seem super honest? They never seem to do anything morally wrong, but when it comes to looking out for themselves, their moral compass isn't really coming from the heart. So, when we talk about the character Baochai, it's not really her fault, right? It's more about reflecting on the cultural destiny of Chinese culture, which is mostly Confucian. So, like I said before, in the world of human relationships, human nature kind of disappears. Morality isn't totally gone, and it's cleverly mixed with self-interest. They call it qigong, but what's missing? Human nature. The real emotions and trust in humanity are gone, so when people talk about Baochai, they can't make up their minds. Some praise her and some criticize her. In my opinion, if I had to sum up Baochai's character in just 3 words, it would be the medicine she takes, cold incense tablets. When Baochai was young, she had this illness that just wouldn't go away and kept coming back every now and then. So, someone came up with this pill for her, and she always had it with her in case the illness flared up again. Now, why are they called cold incense pellets? Well, one time when Baoyu went to see Baochai because she was sick again, he caught a whiff of this sweet and cool fragrance in her room. I'm not an expert on fragrances, but nowadays there are folks who are into all that and can make you smell sweet and cool. The fragrance Baoyu smelled on Baochai was different from the one he smelled on Lin Dayu. So, he asked Baochai, "Are you burning incense?" And she was like, "I never burn incense." You know, the kind that makes your clothes smell all smoky? Not her thing. So, how come he could smell the fragrance then? Baochai remembered and said, "I took the medicine when I woke up this morning, and that's the fragrance of the medicine." Baoyu was like, "Let me taste it too," and then Baochai was like, "Can you mix the medicine with food?" We'll get to that part in a bit. So, just like that, Baoyu also caught a whiff of a scent on Dayu and asked if she was burning incense. Dayu was like, "Nah, I don't do the incense thing either." She never burns incense, so how come he could smell that scent? It's because Baoyu and Dayu are tight, you know? He could just sneak a sniff of Dayu's skin, and what did he smell? The natural scent of her skin. It's all natural, you know. But what about that tablet? It's a man-made thing, right? A medicinal tablet is totally artificial. When we hang out with Baochai, we'll definitely catch a whiff of her fragrance, like walking into a spring breeze. But what's up with that scent? It's fake because it's from the medicinal tablet. And what's at the heart of this fragrance? It's cold. The core of this fragrance is cold, so they call it cold incense tablets. The novel's got loads of details to back this up. So, Jin Chun, she threw herself into a well, right? She was Lady Wang's personal maid. One day, Lady Wang was taking a nap, and Baoyu strolled into her room. Lady Wang was lounging on a chair, pretending to be asleep, and Jin Chuan was close by. Baoyu thought Jin Chuan was smart and cute, so he flirted with Jin Chuan. He might suggest to Lady Wang to have her live in Yihong Garden. Jin Chai replied, "Why the rush? What's yours will always be yours." Lady Wang got up and slapped Jin Chuan, accusing her of leading her son astray and demanding she leave. Even when Jin Chuan begged for forgiveness, Lady Wang wouldn't budge. Eventually, Jin Chuan took her own life by throwing herself into the well. When the news spread, even Shiren cried. Baochai found out about this and rushed to Lady Wang's room, where she found her in tears, unable to understand how Jin Chuan could have done such a thing. Lady Wang, who usually prayed and recited Buddhist scriptures, was deeply saddened. Baochai comforted Lady Wang, saying that Jin Chuan didn't jump into the well on purpose. She had been restricted by Lady Wang's control and, when given freedom, accidentally fell in. Baochai suggested they give her a proper send-off and offered her own clothes for Jin Chuan to wear at the funeral. Lady Wang was worried about using the clothes of a living person for the deceased, but Baochai assured her that she had no problem with it. At that moment, Lady Wang was really impressed by Baochai, who showed herself as a future virtuous wife. What do we feel in this detail? Baochai seemed indifferent to Jin Chuan's tragedy, making it out to be just an accident, which is why her core fragrance is cold. Another example is her brother, Xue Pan. Xue Pan is a very peculiar person. He has bisexual tendencies, he wants both women and men, so who did he set his sights on? Liu Xianglian. Liu Xianglian was also from a noble family. He was not a servant. But he liked to sing opera, right? He sang really well. Xue Pan set his sights on him and pursued him. While pursuing him, Xue Pan actually thought of him as just an actor. But Liu Xianglian was not just an actor. He was a charming and talented individual. His spiritual realm was just like Baoyu's, right? Not a great relationship. How could you, Xue Pan, look down on him? You keep bothering me, what should I do? Liu Xianglian scolded him. One time they arranged to meet, you must come see me, right? Then it will be at the outskirts. Xue Pan was very happy and went to the designated location, a rather desolate outskirts. Liu Xianglian was waiting for him, and when he arrived, he beat him up severely, leaving him bruised and swollen, so much so that he didn't dare to show his face when he got back home. At this point, Xue's aunt was naturally very angry. The two became enemies. But there was another incident. Xue Pan was once involved in some life-threatening situation while supposedly doing business outside, and it was Liu Xianglian who saved him. So, Liu Xianglian became what to Xue Pan? His savior. Thus, their past enmity was resolved. Liu Xianglian faced a great tragedy of his own. He was once matched by Jia Lian to marry Yu Sanji, and he even left a token of engagement, a pair of matching swords, right? He gave the female sword to Yu Sanjia, so he held the male sword, which symbolized their engagement. So, they were already engaged, but later he had a change of heart. Yu Sanjia had seen Liu Xianglian before, so when he was willing to marry her, Yu Sanjia was very happy. She knew she would have a good life for the rest of her years. Such a catch. Yu Sanjia could understand him, so she always waited for him at home, in the Ning Palace, waiting for him to come and marry her, but unexpectedly, Liu Xianglian had a change of heart. This was because he later found out that Yu Sanjia had been living in the Ning Palace, which had subsequently lost its image. Except for a pair of stone lions at the entrance, there was no cleanliness inside. Hence, Liu Xianglian came to the thinking that Yu Sanjia has become less desirable, so he had a change of heart. Once he had a change of heart, he told Jia Lian that his relatives had already arranged a marriage for him, so he could not proceed with the matter at hand. When he changed his mind, Jia Lian was anxious, and when the two were talking about it, Yu Sanjia, who was nearby, overheard everything. Yu Sanjia knew why he wanted to break off the engagement, dreading my family reputation, isn't it? She then came out with the female sword and confronted Liu Xianglian and Jia Lian. At that moment, Liu Xianglian felt deep regret. realizing that not only was Liu Xianglian incredibly beautiful, but also strong-willed, and he had wrongly accused her. This was a great blow to Liu Xianglian. Liu Xianglian was not an ordinary character. For an ordinary person, they would just find another wife, but not him. As I mentioned earlier, he was a romantic and talented person. Such an error was unbearable for him, and it greatly affected him. Later, he followed a Taoist monk and entered the order, which was a great tragedy for him. When the news came out, Madame Xue and Xue Pan were both feeling really sad and shedding tears over it. Baochai told them to stop gossiping about other people's stuff and to focus on what really matters right now. What does this sentence show us again? Baochai was totally unfazed by this tragedy. So, with the name, Cold Fragrance Pill, we can probably get a good handle on what Baochai is all about. I mentioned before that this is the deepest character in the whole novel. You just can't figure her out, she's super complex. Okay, let's dive into Baochai's character now.